Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is, I'm going to get it right today. I put Tuesday yesterday and it was Wednesday. Today is Thursday, June 18th, 2024. And we are here in the Java Cafe as we do every month. We take the opportunity to highlight what I call affinity months in either the equity area or marginalized communities, and celebrations of culture and gender, Women's History Month, mental health. This is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, or BIPOC, or Men of Color, Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. But it's also an awareness month for those that have what I say unique abilities. The general language is disabilities, and there are some unique abilities or disabilities that you can visibly see with those that are dealing with physical unique abilities. And then there are some that you don't see, but you might see the demonstration of some struggle in the mental illness space. And so I have a young lady with me this morning that it's my first time meeting her, but I read her description of joining us this morning, and I told her that I am truly honored today to be a part of her vision board that she was setting for 23. And what her goal and mission is to bring awareness, especially to the Black community. She's a woman, identifies as she and her, and she'll introduce herself in a couple of seconds. But I want to ask you to do me a favor, and I say it often, almost daily: share this, invite someone in. But let's have this conversation. It is a Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and we'll deal with that. We got Dr. Simone coming. We have some other brothers coming in this month. But today we're going to talk with a wonderful queen that's going to share her story, and we're going to have a real authentic conversation. So without further ado, and if I don't know if it's the first of hers for this year, but we would like to introduce to some and present to others Miss Ness Monét, who by my description, I am going to call an unique abilities advocate, activist, and just wonderful queen that was so willing to come and share your story today. You're also a content creator and creative as well. And so, Ness, I am so honored, and I just have to shout you out because you got your setup there with your mic and whatnot. So it's not that often, when guests come in, it's usually a computer and something. So when I see folks with mics, I'm like, okay, this is going to be audibly pleasing. And no, welcome to the Java Cafe. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you so much for having me. I am extremely grateful, excited, and ready to have this much needed conversation in the Black community.
Let's jump right in, because I want to make best use of your time. And in your description, you talked about, really, I'm going to paraphrase, like having this real conversation about visible, unique abilities or disabilities, someone that may be blind, that has a cane, someone that might have either, been born without the full development of a limb, or through sickness or whatever had to have, those type of visible unique abilities. And then there are the ones that we don't see. And in this space, we often talk about those. And so please feel free to just be your authentic self and share your story. Who is Ness Monét? And then in the second part, like, how did you take your life experience and then let that transcend into this space of content creation and also advocacy to make sure that we're having these conversations?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Ness Monét. I use she, her pronouns as stated, and I am a Black woman, an African-American woman, a millennial. I'm 35 years old, who lives with multiple, so more than one, invisible disabilities. I have been on this journey, I like to say, since 2016, but really going back to 2012. I live with a rare autoimmune condition, which is in the family of lupus. I live with fibromyalgia. I live with irritable bowel syndrome, endometriosis, and I also like to say I am mentally unstable at times, because it is okay not to be okay. Living with invisible disabilities, particularly things that are centered around chronic fatigue and chronic pain, People don't realize how difficult it is. We have this image of what we think disabilities looks like, and it does not include people who look like me. It does not include people who daily deal with chronic pain, widespread chronic pain from head to toe, who are dealing with chronic fatigue. And it's just like, no, my chronic fatigue is not like yours. I'm tired today or I'm tired this week. Most days of my life, so out of the year, I am tired. My body does not restore energy like an able-bodied person does, meaning I have a symptom called non-restorative sleep, meaning when I go to sleep, even if I get the recommended 8 hours or whatever it is, my body is not going to restore energy. So I'm showing up every day with no energy, chronic fatigue, widespread chronic pain, brain fog, overall not feeling well. My skin can be sensitive. I have soreness. I have tenderness. I lose circulation in my body parts, particularly my hands and my feet. It causes mobility issues. We take for granted the things that we do every day. Throwing up our foot over the bed to get out, that's hard for me to do. Doing my hair, it's hard for me to do. Some of you who know me or may have saw the advertisement, I had to cut my hair because I could no longer do my hair. And how devastating that was to me as a like feminine person. I'm sorry, you could cut me off because I'm gonna go.
No. You anybody listen, keep going because
okay. It's hard for me sometimes to cook, to wash, because I can have pain in my elbow, pain in my neck, pain in my joints. At the core, autoimmune disease is when your immune system mistakes your healthy cells as invaders. So your body is attacking itself. And particularly for the condition that I have, which is a connective tissue disease, it's attacking the tissue that holds our organs, our bones, our muscles together. So I have so many different conditions again. Like I always said, I thought I was going to be these girls with all of these letters behind my name with degrees. And technically I do have that. But I have so many chronic illnesses, so many invisible disabilities that I have that people don't understand the severity of living with this every day and trying to operate in an ableism world. And I never thought that I would become this girl, but ableism is disgusting, respectfully. People don't realize just the privilege you have to do daily things, that when you're living with chronic fatigue, chronic pain, brain fog, confusion, sensitivity to light, soreness, tenderness, losing circulation in your limbs, that is very difficult. And as if one condition wasn't enough, I have 18 bajillion. I think I really got started in my advocacy journey back in 2018 because that's when my conditions really started to get bad and I felt like I was losing myself and I didn't feel like I had an outlet of people to understand what I was going through, because we love in the Black community, you'll be all right, pray about it, you'll be okay, which it's good to pray, honey. You know, I'm not saying it's not good.
Move your feet to somebody's doctor's office and get in it. Sorry, go ahead.
Right? Get some rest. Thanks. If I get more rest, it's not going to make anything better. So I wanted to educate the public, right? Because I know that I wouldn't really know a lot about these invisible disabilities centered around chronic pain, chronic fatigue, abdominal issues, if it wasn't for my lived experience. So that was what that started it. Then I think as it's grown, it's really to call out ableism. It's to help Black women realize that you may be in pain and you may be super tired and it's not in your head. We don't want to claim any health conditions, but Black women are underdiagnosed as far as it comes to chronic pain, health conditions, and chronic fatigue. Because, you know, we grew up with our moms, our grandmoms, our aunts just pushing through. And we respect them for doing that because that was what they had to do at that time. But they only lived to be our grandparents, like 45, 50. And we know that society looks at Black women, particularly African-American women, as being immune to pain or being able to handle more pain. And that's not true. And I want my fellow Black women out there to take the superwoman cape off and take care of yourself. Realize that there are real health conditions that cause symptoms like chronic pain, chronic fatigue, uncontrollable diarrhea, things as such. And then going back to calling out ableism, I'm just tired sometimes, you know. I tell people around me or even employers my story, and we live in a digital world where you can look up everything. And if I have to repeatedly tell you about my health conditions, or just because you see me looking like this, baby, you don't know what it took to get here. The amount of overwhelmingness I felt yesterday, like, oh my God, I hope I don't come up here looking a mess. But even if I do, don't judge me. You don't know how my disabilities affect my life. And it's just to call out the ableism. And just like we Google recipes, songs, gossip, politics, take the time to educate yourself on invisible disabilities and normalize that sick doesn't have a look. Yes, I look young, but I'm still sick. Because if you would treat me differently if I was 80 with these health conditions, or if you saw me in a wheelchair, that's ableism. That is discrimination against disabled people if you do not know what ableism is. And I'm just really ready to call that out, like, especially for my fellow Black women, women of color.
So Ness, a few things. I wasn't trying to interrupt. I come from a faith background, and we in the amen corner. And then you said so much that resonates with previous guests. And in this space, we talk, about mental health and those type of invisible challenges. But on the health end, you mentioned lupus. We last month or the month before, I believe, was Lupus Awareness Month. And so we learned about different types of lupus. We had a dietitian on the other day. They talked about the importance of having all the micro vitamins and micronutrients and whatnot. So there's so much here. And I had a psychologist on some months ago who's also a cosmetologist. And when you talked about the fact that you had to cut your hair as a Black, wanting to do it is one thing, but having to, and that, go ahead. Let's pick up there and then talk about some other things. But a few things resonated with me. And I have to say before we jump back in, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your willingness to educate us, to call us out, to call us in, and to raise this, all these terms we're so quickly to put, they start trending and whatever, but ableism, I'll just say there have been times I have sometimes back issues and just temporarily not being able to flip the foot over or not being able to, and I'm at the age, if you sneeze, you might have back pain for 5 days. And that limited. So I have to thank you for your stick-to-itiveness. And if at any point you here feeling overwhelmed, Jimmy, we need to take a break. I'll go to a commercial. You do what you need to do. This is a safe space and also a space that we want to allow you to really continue to raise this issue. And last thing I'll say, because you said so much and people know I run my mouth, changing the narrative of Black women and having to be, you said, take off the cape and you don't have to be the super. So any way you want to proceed and respond there. But those were the things that stood out to me and resonated. And again, I have to thank you for coming in today and being so transparent and authentic and vulnerable in this space. So thank you. Please continue to educate us and encourage us to look at folks and things through a whole different lens.
Yeah, thank you so much. And please feel free to interrupt me. I love to talk and I'm super passionate about just health in general.
So good.
As a personal background, I have most of my experience, well, really all of my experience in public health, particularly sexual health, HIV, and at the core of that, it is unapologetically centered in Blackness, having real conversations about systemic racism and racial justice. So when I do all of this, it brings up that, and I'm unapologetically centering people like me, because I know what it means to be in spaces like this, and it's not easy to do. Over these past few years, I had to do a lot of healing around vulnerability and realize that vulnerability is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And even that being disabled and calling myself disabled, because by definition, whether by health definition or the federal government definition, I am a disabled person. And there's nothing negative, nasty, wrong with claiming that term, because I'm still a beautiful Black woman who just happens to be disabled. And I'm even trying to use my privilege of being quote unquote pretty, being quote unquote skinny, being quote unquote from a 2-parent household. Not that being disabled cares about any of those things, but I'm going to call out the privileges that I have. And even being a 2-time double alum of Morgan State University, a historically Black college and university. Shout out to everyone from Morgan or those who went to a HBCU. I know I have the privilege to be in certain spaces, and I want to call out what it looks like to be disabled, because this is what it looks like to be disabled. This is what it looks like to be chronically ill. And I have notes right here if you see me looking over, because I know a lot of times we throw terms at people, and you see a lot of that on social media. particularly with millennials and Gen Z, but we don't educate on what that means. So I want you to know when someone says autoimmune, what does that mean? When someone says ableism, what does that mean? And even if you're still not clear, it takes 5 minutes to Google. We have our phones with us. We Google everything else. Take the time and Google. I also thank you for the safe space and calling out there is a difference between wanting to cut your hair and having to cut your hair. And people need to sit and reflect on it. I had to take my hair because it hurts to keep my arms up. I also have a dandruff condition where I get really thick dandruff. I can never say it correctly. So not only does it hurt mobility-wise, chronic pain-wise to keep my arms up because my autoimmune is attacking my connective tissue. Fibromyalgia is attacking my nerves, causing the pain. And then the pain makes me more tired because I'm exerting more energy. So I'm trying to do all that and having to deep scrub because of my thick dandruff issue. I can no longer take care of my hair, and my hair is thick. And I recognize that that's a privilege too, but when you can't take care of it and you're going out looking a mess, that makes you feel less than, that makes you feel not enough. You don't feel like you want to go out. I stay in the bed. It adds to my depression. It adds to my anxiety. So I had to cut my hair. And I remember when I cut it this short, which was about maybe 2 months ago now, I was crying. When I tell you bawling, just crying because I didn't want to have to cut my hair. I can't believe that I'm 35 and I can't take care of my hair. You know, when you think about your life, I don't think that I'm going to be 35 and this sick. And it's not to say that I don't have good health days, because I do, but every day I'm still chronically ill because there's no cure for the conditions that I live with. And I miss my hair. Sometimes I used to wear it in a ponytail. For me personally, that wasn't working because I'm a natural hair, girly, Afro kind of person, and not being able to do that and take care of myself, even hygiene-wise, it's just hard because it's not the life you think you'll have. And then going out in the world and people don't see it, you'll be okay. It's all right. It's not that bad. I have pain too. Do you have it every day? Do you have it from head to toe? Do you have to be on medication for it? Do you have to see specialists for it? I'm supposed to be in physical therapy right now, pelvis therapy right now, pelvis therapy due to my endometriosis, which causes inflammation in the pelvis, uterus, painful periods, also the possibility of infertility. Like I have to go to physical therapy also for my back. I had a very bad health scare last year that I'm still working through, and maybe we'll get to that. But due to that, it caused me to lose function in a part of my spine. So my rheumatologist doctor wants me to go to physical therapy. So it's just not the life you think you'll have at 35. But I just try to thank God anyway, because he's the only person that's keeping me, because to be on a cycle of repeat every day being sick is a mind, it's draining. So
I want to a couple of things. One, I want to give you intentionally a chance because I've been in spaces where it's passionate. Look, you got the virtue leaving out and breaking a sweat. So I want to intentionally give you a break to take a few minutes. We're going to take a 30-second break to allow you to take a break. And then we're going to come back, and on one hand, you're teaching me by appearance as you're presenting today. With all that you're naming, you're sitting here and we're not knowing the mental health impact of everything that you named. And so on the other side of this break, we're going to come back and chat with you about that. And then also allow you to share if there's resources, your website, folks to follow you. You're a content creator, so let's get you some more followers and things like that. And we'll also go to the comments as well when we come back because folks are very encouraged by your testimony so far this morning. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back with you folks in just about 30 seconds.
For the innovators, the dreamers, the risk takers, independent workers who keep our neighborhoods thriving, Connector Care from the Massachusetts Health Connector has plans for every lifestyle and budget.
Having access to affordable healthcare is for everyone in our community.
Connector Care plans help more people save on healthcare that covers all their needs. Find out if you qualify for Connector Care. Visit mahealthconnector.org or call 1-877-MA-ENROLL.
Sorry about that, folks. We are here with Ness Monét, and if you're just joining us or been with us from the beginning, again, I'm sitting here and I'm watching you and I'm balancing, I'm learning to recondition myself in real time. You talk about privilege, and let's just name, if you're just joining, she said this, I'm skinny, I'm pretty. And I have to appreciate the fact that even with all that your demographic deals with, of being a woman, a Black woman, and all that you're dealing with, you still have the tenacity to call out your privilege. That woman, I'm sorry, that you got me in a passion place, so you might hear some yos and whatnot.
Show up as your authentic self. You're good.
Listen, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, Jesus Lord. And so one of the things I wanted to do was just give you a little bit of encouragement and go into the comments. Pompey Wellens, we have some super brilliant women in this family. I always knew Vanessa. So they calling out your government. You know, this is family. Vanessa was very intelligent, but using her own pain to help others is simply amazing. Michelle D. Smith, differently abled versus disabled is my preference, because there's no lack of ability. Disabled, rather, people who deal with health challenges that limit their physical and developmental abilities. Differently abled. Got it. But there's something, Michelle, because I get it as well. And I think we are kind and we are pure in our intention. But you said something that you blatantly name by government definition, SSI or whomever, that I am disabled. And you, as someone who's living, almost make me cuss, have every right to, you know, so not to disparage anything that we're saying in our pure approach to try to be sensitive, but you're like, nah, let's name it and let's have the convo about it. And so those were a couple of conversations. Go ahead.
If I could jump in real quickly and just say also too, that's one thing that we also need to normalize, is that folk like different terms. For me, I am okay being labeled as disabled. I will say it took me a while to get here, but for me, it's being disabled. For other folk, it may not be that. And we have to respect people's wishes and realize that everyone operating in this space, navigating these health conditions, want different things. So however you choose or want to be identified is your choice, and folks should honor that. It's just, for me personally, disabled is what I choose to be and what I want to change, just bring awareness to, change the stigma and discrimination around.
You do. I'm going to venture and say something to you. You have to. The space in which you're walking and the trajectory of your, anyway. So ma'am, with all that you named and your authentic embracing of what you're dealing with, you, a woman of faith, talk to us about mental health and self-care. And then I want to allow you a little bit to tap into your faith, because that it's a big part of who we are as a people, and you volunteered it. Someone give you the space to talk about that as well. But self-care, staying mentally well, because it's a lot, sis. You know, and I have to celebrate you. And it doesn't give you restorative sleep. It doesn't take away the sensitivity to your skin. But I just have to, ma'am, just celebrate you, because in presenting today, I think Michelle said it earlier, the fire and energy. And again, it's perfect proof. You could be sitting in pain right now. So
yeah, I want to just say thank you to everyone in the comments, my family, friends, sorors. I am a proud member of Sigma Gamma Rho Sorority Incorporated. So thank you to all my sorors for joining, and thank you again to my family. I want to go back to your first comment of saying why I call out privilege is because I don't want to demand other folk to do something I'm not willing to do. And I also want to lead by example. So if I can call out my privilege, even sitting in the seat that I'm sitting in, why can't you do it? And there's a lot of people in the chat watching this, maybe watching it on replay, a clip, something, who are not living with a disability. How can you use your privilege of being able-bodied, so just a person not with any type of visible, invisible disability, to advocate for people living with disabilities? Mental health is something so important to me. I feel like I've struggled with mental health for years. It is an up and down battle. And my mental health affects my chronic health issues, even though mental health is a chronic health issue. And then my chronic pain, chronic fatigue conditions also affect my mental health. So I'm in this constant cycle. And I'm really trying to work on what self-care looks like. And that really started for me in 2020. The pandemic was just a wake-up call for me.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of people, I realized that I was putting a lot of things, a lot of people, a lot of causes before myself, as we do as Black women, as African-American women. And we have to normalize that it's okay to pour in ourselves first, because we're no good to anyone or anything unless we are good to ourselves first. And most of us know that when we need someone, nobody's there, but you're there for everyone. And when you're the strong friend, people don't check on you. She'll make it through. She got it. But you don't know I'm crying every day. You don't know I'm depressed. You don't know I'm fighting suicide ideation. And suicide is up in the Black community, just as it's Minority Mental Health Month. It's also Disability Pride Month. People are struggling mentally, and we need to create safe spaces where it's okay not to be okay. That doesn't mean that you don't want to get better. It's just normalizing that it's okay not to be okay. And sometimes in the Black community, we have created spaces where, that this doesn't leave the house. Don't tell anyone about that. And we have caused more harm to our community than good. Because if people are just able to share, all of us are going through something. All of us are stressed. All of us are overwhelmed. And if we just normalize it's okay to live in our authentic truth, because our authentic truth is enough. So many of us live behind masks, and I got sick and tired of living behind masks. So if I'm not having a good mental health day, I will say I'm mentally unstable. It doesn't mean I'm going to always be like that. It just means at this very moment in time, I'm mentally not okay, and I'm not hiding behind any mask to meet just because you think you shouldn't share that out. But you have to look at why you feel like we shouldn't share that out. And it goes back to the Black community of hiding things in a house and putting on this front like I'm good. But where is that really getting our community? Mental health is serious. Depression, bipolar, anxiety, seasonal depression. And yes, you can still be, and I don't know how far we want to go into faith, but you can still go to church and pray and still struggle with depression. And it could be you're depressed maybe for a month, but as you go to church, as you have people supporting you, you get better. Like, there's nothing wrong with saying that I struggle mentally. And I'm really working on that and normalizing that it's okay not to be okay. And self-care even too. I think when I'm mentally in a good spot, self-care is good. It's journaling. It's me playing a video game on my iPad. I love YouTube. I love just dancing and fashion and things like that. It's sometimes harder for self-care when I'm in chronic pain or I'm having low energy, because I could be sleeping for hours, sleeping the day away. So I think I'm really trying to work on what self-care looks like and get in a consistent routine of normalizing self-care and always putting myself first.
I'm going to challenge you as someone who's in real time always challenged. I'm doing better. You have to. You have to. In order for you to be in the long haul for where you're going, you have to. If when I stutter, it's an indicator of either don't know where to go or you talked a little bit about your faith. How much does your faith play in your healing journey, your self-care? Because there, and if I may ask, in your faith, have you had the convo with God about, really, God, can we be real?
I feel like I have that conversation with God every day, if I'm honest, because sometimes I feel like so much has been poured onto me. I went through a cancer scare last summer until the beginning of this year, being tested for various cancers. To make a long story short, I end up having extreme abdominal pain where it feels like someone is stabbing you, like sometimes holding it in and twisting it. And I still live with that to this day. And they were trying to figure out if the root cause was my irritable bowel syndrome or some form of cancer or another autoimmune disease. Throughout that journey, I had liver issues, got diagnosed with endometriosis, had so many testing, was losing weight, had uncontrollable diarrhea, couldn't keep food down, had to be on various diets to try to figure out what was going on with my stomach, all the while still dealing with this pain that's in my stomach, like someone is stabbing me, in my vagina area, feeling like someone is stabbing me, and still trying to show up and work. On top of moving back on my own, I had just finished caregiving, lost my grandmother, issues at work, being chronically single, because that is a thing. People think because you're pretty that you don't have issues dating, but baby, it was just so much. And I'm like, God, how much am I supposed to take? And it's just me here. I'm doing it all on my own. I can't get up and cook because I'm in so much pain. When I do eat, I'm throwing up or having uncontrollable diarrhea. And I just question God so much, but I know I'm only here today because of God. And I go in this back and forth that I know if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be here. But there is a lot of times when I am upset with him, angry with him, which has made me, I would say over recent years, get more back into church, whatever, let me explain what I mean by that. Yep. Like attend church, right? But then what does attend church really mean? We sit there at church on Sunday, we praising him, we giving him the glory. An hour later, we're upset. We're not walking in that faith. So then I started going to Bible study, kind of doing the same thing. But then I just recently got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm like, God, you put all this on me for a reason. You put all these various health conditions with various symptoms, because symptom management is a full-time job. Let me also say that again. Symptom management of chronic health conditions is a full-time job. I need your help, Lord. So I recently, in the past week or two, started getting into Bible journaling, where I'm really deep diving into the word. And one of the things that came out of the sermon on Sunday was walking by faith, not by sight. And I have to see myself how God sees me. And I have to have faith that he's with me and that he's going to work things out. And even though we can't see God, we have to believe that he's real. And I want people to believe that my chronic health conditions, my disabilities are real, and people can't see them. I can't ask that of people, and I'm not believing that God is with me every step of the way and he hasn't forgotten about me. I have to say that to myself every time. Ness, God hasn't forgotten about you. He knows you're struggling health-wise, financially. You feel alone, more so in this season, just because of all the health issues and still trying to like cook, clean. It's a lot. So you feel alone, but God hasn't forgotten about you. But just to wrap it all up, my health journey, my faith journey, sorry, it has been a struggle. Every day I'm asking God, why me? This is a lot. I can't do this. Why couldn't I just have one chronic health condition? Because every new diagnosis is also trauma. Every new symptom is also trauma, because you're still getting new symptoms. So my faith journey, it's a work in progress. Pray for me.
We got a whole mother's board in here. So y'all add Sister Ness to the mother's board prayer band or prayer list. Ness, I even in your delivery, it's so interesting, because in real time, you're demonstrating for us what you're talking about. In presentation, in the passion, in the assertiveness, with all of that you're dealing with in the background, you don't see it. And that's the whole purpose of us talking today. I want to make sure that we allow you either to share resources. I don't know if you finished the book yet, your website. I really foresee folks are going to be calling on you to speak to legislation around health equity. And so we want to make sure that and you're a content creator. And so tell us about that. What is your space in the content space? You're doing reels, lives, you're following. Let's get folk into your cafe.
Yeah, thank you for that. And one thing I didn't say earlier, while I would say my chronic pain for the most part is okay, I had some abdominal pain that I was experiencing this morning, even on my spine, but I put some icy hot on and that kind of dealt with it, because I didn't want to take my medication because it can sometimes make me loopy. That addresses the whole abdominal issues that I've been talking about earlier. But I will say this week I've had really bad chronic fatigue flare-ups, and that also made me overwhelmed with showing up here today, because I was just like, I just don't know if I can do it. And it's just like, I prayed for God for opportunities like this to speak, and then I don't have the energy to. So I will share that this week has been just bad for me, chronic fatigue and energy wise. I have recently gotten back into making content creation about being a Black woman who is disabled. And I share like information graphics, but then I also share real pictures. My Instagram, for those who want to follow me or share it with someone who you think would be interested, is Ness.Monét. And you'll see pictures on there of me with my hair looking a mess, me laying in bed because I can't get out of bed. me in the bed with no sheets on because I didn't have the energy to put the sheets on my bed. You'll see me crying. You'll see me in a hospital bed. With my content journey, and I had to stop it for a while because I wasn't getting the traction that I wanted, but I had to realize these aren't the type of topics that go viral. And I want to stay true to myself and really make an impact, and also not just post the cute, pretty pictures. Because if you know me in real life, that's what you kind of know me for. But I want people to see something else. I want people to see chronic pain and chronic fatigue as much as you can. I want to show you that it's not an easy life. Not to say it's not necessarily a good life, but you're constantly readjusting and you're grieving what life used to be. Because I was once a girl who had energy, who didn't experience pain. And now my life has completely gone upside down. So you'll see me showing pictures of living in my authentic truth because I want to see other women do it. Again, take the mask off and live in your truth because your truth is enough. So I'm really using my platform to try and grow and bring conversations to invisible disabilities, mental health, healing, and self-care. I'm also very interested in speaking at conferences, meetings, events, on panels about this topic and really bringing awareness, particularly in the Black community among Black women. So if you're ever interested in having me come and speak, please reach out to me. My email address is nessmonét@gmail.com. I'm really passionate about speaking, content creation. It's also it's pictures, it's videos, and it's graphics. I consider myself like not a graphic designer, but a content creator. So I just create content with passion to really express what it looks like to be a disabled person. So that it's just really my goal to bring awareness. I would love one day, of course, to be like a full-time entrepreneur, content creator, speaker. And I think with opportunities like this, God is moving me in that direction. And I just thank him and give him all the glory, honor, and praise just for making it here to this morning because it was a struggle, and just for giving me these opportunities and already seeing other possible opportunities coming out of this. And I just want to be an ambassador that sick doesn't have a look. Sick doesn't have a look. If you don't take anything out from this, tweet that out, share that out. Sick doesn't have a look. Not all disabilities you can see. And I am getting more so because I have done it more on the professional side, speaking to legislators and advocating, but more so doing it for conditions that I live with. It's just very hard for me sometimes with disabled organizations as I learn more about that space because, one, you don't see a lot of people of color or Black folk. And then if we want to be real for real, because colorism is a thing, dark skin or darker tone folk. And again, I am racial justice to the core, and I'm not going to support anything that disenfranchises marginalized communities, which are darker tone folk within spaces of color, right? And then when you get to disability organizations, you don't see people with invisible organizations. People like you and me need to be on flyers because this is what disabled looks like. And then if the staffing doesn't reflect me, I also have an issue with that too, because I would say for some chronic health conditions, invisible disabilities, Black folk are disproportionately impacted. Black folk are disproportionately underdiagnosed. We don't have the resources. We don't have the access. So if I don't see you doing those health equity things, economic justice things, I'm not going to want to do it, but I am trying to get more into speaking to legislators and advocating for legislation that helps chronic pain, chronic fatigue, because I have had war stories with reasonable accommodations, both from the provider side and the work side.
I know about a few of those.
It's like, I mean, we feel for you, but we still need you to work. On the physician side, you're young. Respectfully, young has nothing to do with disabilities or my chronic pain, sis, because are you going to pay my bills? Because the bills got to get paid either way, you know? So I'm really trying to get in that space. And also too, we're in voting season, which of course vote. But how many of these legislators are talking about disability rights? Because disability rights are human rights. Because the last time I checked, I was still human, even though I'm disabled. But we don't want to have real conversations. But that's why I'm here, because we're going to have real conversations.
Listen, I wherever I can be a support and help, sis, please reach out to Anissa and let us know if you're speaking somewhere. We can just post a flyer or get folks if it's virtual, because your voice is so needed, because it's so authentic and it's so real. And again, it kudos and applause and accolades. They don't stop pain right then in the moment. But sis, your trajectory is definitely somewhere that's going to have legislative and sustainable long-term impact, because just the uniqueness of your demographic and everything that comes with that. And as we know, you focus on Black folks and equity, everybody does well. Now let's focus on a Black woman who's disabled.
Everybody. When you focus on, or when you center unapologetically, intentionally center, because there's a lot of performativeness going on, but when you unapologetically center the most disenfranchised person in the room, everybody wins. But that's not a conversation, and respectfully, it's a conversation that Black folk don't want to have. I know my parents, particularly my mom, is probably watching right now, and she's like,
I was getting ready to go to the comments.
Oh, she's like, Ness, you make everything a race issue. I'm like, because everything is a race issue. And if we don't call out these conversations, our future generations are still going to be sitting here dealing with the same issues that previous generations like Gen X, baby boomers, you all have been dealing with for years. And respectfully, I'm tired. Black is enough. Being an African-American woman is enough. And I'm going to walk in that and own that and send that unapologetically. But I'll pause for the comments.
Can you do me a favor just after that? Can you just snap real quick?
Showing up, being your full Black self is enough too. There's a lot even I can get in professionalism and how that affects disabled folk. If the clothing hurts our skin, we don't have the energy to get dressed. Like, there's so much I can go into. But yes, show up unapologetically Black. And I just want to say this too. I'm rooting for everyone Black. Everyone in the comments, just thank you so much. And I'm just, just praying God's protection and his glory over you, and never stop chasing your dreams.
Harold Lathan Jr., I presume, is that dad?
Yes, that's dad. Hey, Dad.
You continue to let God lead you. We love you so much. And I'm not sure. I presume this is some relation to you, because
sorority sister. Hey.
Love your authentic self. And then you said your mom was in here, so we definitely want to honor her as well. I'm trying to see which one is
Valerie. Mom. If she's in there, Valerie. And I'm just assuming she's possibly in there. I didn't want to have my phone on.
Look. She's taking what you said. She's being a little invisible right now.
She's probably sitting there, because we're opposites. I'm very outgoing. I think that also too, sometimes I'll look at God, why me? I have a very outgoing spirit. I'm extra. Some of y'all can probably tell. So, but it does not take away from the fact that it isn't a struggle. But I just love speaking. I love connecting with my people, Black people, women of color, Black women, African-American women. So I love things like this.
I just wanted to mention a resource as well. Shout out to Julianne. She said all boats should rise. Thank you. She's saying thank you for your words. And can we get snaps for Black, disabled, trans, immigrant women? Lift them up.
Yes. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. All of those, because again, when you focus anyway, don't get me started, because then we're gonna be here for another 20 minutes. Because my right leg is shaking, so that's an indicator that. Go ahead.
I will also say too that I'm still working on resources, and even working on what resources I want to provide. And when I say resources, of course, you can Google and go to like WebMD and things like that and get resources about these conditions. Maybe besides like endometriosis, all the other ones, it's hard to find information about. My autoimmune disease is rare. That's another layer of issues too, because, most people know about lupus. Yeah. You know about certain cancers, you know about HIV, but you don't know about rare autoimmune conditions, and that gets less traction, less funding. So it's less research on it. And even for like fibromyalgia, you'll find stuff, but you don't find it for younger folks. So 30s, 20s, or even Black women. And if you're in spaces of research, pharmaceutical, health, government, we need Black folk, young Black folk in these trials. Pay patient advocates, just like you would want to be paid, because there's not a lot of resources that are really helpful. And I'm working on seeing what I want to do in this space. I know right now I love speaking. I love creating content. That's what I'm trying to do. And also know when I talk about racial justice, social justice, it's always going to include the LGBTQIA+ community. Trans rights are human rights. Same gender loving love rights are human rights. I'm a very big advocate for the LGBTQIA+ community, particularly in my professional space, and also recognize everything that those immigrants or the war at the border, how that adds another layer here. And when I say women, that is very inclusive of all women.
Yes.
If you identify as a woman, you're a woman, sis. We locked in. So recognizing everyone that's dealing with the invisible disability. And there is a lot of communities that we need to create safe spaces for, particularly in communities of color.
I mean, with that right now, all we need to give is benediction. Sis, and I want to be sensitive to time, and thank you, because you've mentioned a couple of times that there might have been a little struggle in prepping stuff for today, and I just really honor, salute, and respect you, and thank you so much. And again, the mothers are there she is. We spoke her up. My daughter has educated me, and we love her, and we have her back. For some reason, I heard her. She said, we ain't gonna get into all that. I got her back no matter what. Now, we may debate, but when we come out those doors, I dare somebody to step to her.
Period.
So shout out to mother and dad that's in the room. Y'all are informally now part of the Java family, so pop in here whenever you all want. But Ness, please keep us abreast of things that you're doing. I'm looking forward one day to look up at some health equity, something on TV, or they fly you up here or whatever, and see you speaking the same truth to those that with the stroke of a pen and a vote can make a huge sustainable impact through policy. I'm a little bit tired. So, and I dare not say that, because I say that casually, just as an indicator of a good interview. God knows what you're going to deal with when we turn this camera off. And so, sis, please, do the best that you can to center self-care as much as you can. All of those that are in the Java Cafe that support this sister, I personally want to say thank you, because you're going to need it for the long haul.
Absolutely.
This fight that you're on is
it's no cure. It's for life. So yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you woman, you ain't cutting me off. I'm sorry, with all due respect. Ness, you ain't cutting me off. Anissa said it earlier. She was like, he's stuttering. That is an indicator of just a little bit of not knowing where to go. And then there's a whole bunch of commentary that I could give in relation to some things that you were saying, and I probably won't do that while you're on camera. So
feel free to have me back. I really appreciate this opportunity to, particularly because this is centered around the Black community, to really have these conversations. While I'm definitely passionate and have lived experience of being a disabled Black woman, African American woman, I'm also super passionate about health equity, racial justice, systemic racism. So we can have some conversations, because we have to have the conversations with grace. And there's nothing wrong with having a conversation, and Black folk need to, for the most part, because I recognize that sometimes it's hard, but don't be afraid to have the conversations. Like, we deserve more. Black is enough. Latinx is enough. People of color are enough. And we have to begin to center that. And we don't get there unless we start having the hard conversations around health equity, human rights, civil rights, racial justice, systemic racism, because there is racism in everything. Open up your eyes. So I would love the opportunity to come back. And I just really appreciate the opportunity, because this was such a goal to really reach my people around chronic illnesses, because I know there's probably not a lot of Black women, particularly millennials, who are looking for information around chronic pain or chronic fatigue, because they don't even realize it's a thing. So I hope that I brought awareness to that. And even if you're older or younger and you've experienced too much pain, your menstrual cycle is too painful, go to the doctor, sis, get answers, advocate for yourself. Don't allow the doctor to tell you you're all right, because they do that to Black women. And we're going to tell the healthcare system to stop treating us as less than, because Black women are enough. Sorry, I can get going. Clearly, I'm like, we're supposed to be stopping.
Listen, because I was going to say, this is another time just to give the benediction and go. Listen, sis, we will have you back. And we'll figure out when it's best to bring you maybe in with some others and some providers, and also part of the long COVID coalition. And there's some of the symptoms that you describe. Imagine dealing with what you're dealing with, and then if you ever had COVID, and then don't know whether you develop long COVID, which exacerbates and exponentially makes. So there's some things, there's some conversations going on a national level. So
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
this
Thank you.
platform.
Thank you.
And I want you to continue doing everything you're doing. This is needed. I'm going to make this my last thing. Please, everyone out there, support Black media. Just like you support CNN and everything else, support Black media, support Black businesses, support Black speakers, support Black influencers, content creators, Black disabled folk. Please support Black media just like you would support CNN or MSNBC. Not saying that there's anything wrong with that, but we need to elevate people that look like us and allow them the opportunities to continue to grow, because they deserve that opportunity. And that's a whole nother conversation around equity and economic justice. But please, please, please share that out, support Black media. So I just really want to thank you for this platform and really appreciate everything that you're doing, because I know it's not easy.
Thank you. And I will end with this. Pop said it as well, and I'm only reading it because it was your dad, because I usually skip over these. Java with Jimmy, thank you for what you're doing. Continue. Great job. And thank you for giving my daughter this opportunity to share her experience. Ness Monét, we love you. Oh my God. This is leaving on that note is just awesome to know that you have that support, and you got the Java Cafe supports you. So you got a whole cadre of people up here in the Northeast, some in New York and whatnot. So thank you for being with us. And she said, pay them their worth.
Period. Pay patient advocates just like you want to be paid. Ooh, that's a whole nother conversation too. You sitting on $100K plus salary, but paying patient advocates $5. Could you live off of $5?
A gift card to Starbucks for 4 hours.
What's that going to do? Is that paying rent? Respectfully, but yes, economic justice.
You gonna mess around, and I'm glad I turned Alexa off, because she would have been shouting by now. Ness, get off my screen, woman. I feel comfortable saying you that because we built today.
We're friends. We're here. We're locked in.
We're going to keep in touch, and really thank you so much again for everything that you're doing, and strength, Black joy, encouragement, financial sustainability, some check that you wasn't even expecting. I hope within the next couple of weeks lands in your mailbox. We got a whole bunch of church folks in here. So I'm going to end with that, because whenever you feel the right shoulder rise, I know Jesus is about to come in the room. So Amen. Get off my screen. I appreciate you. Love and strength your way, sis. And we're here.
Thank you. I appreciate
and we'll do what we can do to support you. Thank you so much.
Have a good one, everyone. Stay safe.
Listen, everyone, that was in the past 4.5 years, one of the most revealing, encouraging, accountable, have to consider our conditioning when we are dealing with people with visible and invisible, and I'll go ahead and say disabilities. And so I was tired. I'll leave that right at that. Julianne, good to see you in the room. Jimmy is out. Oh, I ain't reading that one. So we're going to get ready to get off of here, everyone. Oh, wow. UCB, y'all get a whole hour today. It is 9:57, so y'all get that hour. And today is Thursday. So Sharon Cornelius. This is terrible. Sharon Cornelius. Y'all want Alexa to be in the background and hear me yell. I turned her off earlier because I had a feeling that Ness and I were going to go past 9:45. That woman, Jesus. We're going to see more from her. So her second interview, Ma saying something, but Julianne's engaging over on Instagram. I haven't even looked on Twitter, but shout out to everybody that's watching on Twitter. Shout out to Real for making sure that folks get the information and the stories and the conversations we share here. Again, it is Thursday. Today's my Friday. However, this afternoon at 12 p.m., we have the honor and privilege of speaking with Tina Sherry. And also, I'm going to get the flyer queued up right here. Good time to take a commercial break. We'll be back with you in just about 2 seconds. For those of you that are on Twitter and Instagram and not really aware of what goes on in the Java Cafe, please come back and join us every Monday through Thursday at 9 a.m. Coming in the month of August at some time, we are going to move our Java opening to 10 a.m. I'm giving folks a 30-day or so notice now. Sharon Cornelius, I remember a couple of years ago when I tried to change the time or something, and literally y'all were typing in the comments as I was talking, we're not moving over there. We're not clicking extra buttons. Well, we have to now. But we do have to move the time. But today at 12 noon, I have the honor of speaking with Clementina Sherry and also brother Oswald Thomas. And this is an exclusive interview. They are having an event coming up, I believe, on the 25th around the right to heal. And many of you know that Tina Sherry is a decades-long advocate here in the city of Boston. Shout out to her for the 2 million and the Delaney, advocacy group or lobbying group that were able to gain, I believe, through the House. I think it needs to go through the Senate or the other way around, $2.5 million. And so when the call goes out for us to get people to support that, be ready so Tina can get that healing center built. But Oswald is coming in as well. And I'm hearing great things about this young man. And this 12 o'clock I hear is going to be absolute fire. So please come back today at 12 o'clock. We're going to put the flyer out. Make sure you share it with other people as well. Thank all of you for being with us today. For those of you that come in Monday through Thursday at 9, again, we'll see you on Monday at 9. If you can't make it at 12, come back today at 12 o'clock. And also shout out to Keithan and Brother Free and all of those that are covered by music. I just seen a video. Yesterday was their first day. We're going to get down there either today or tomorrow to get some footage of the young people, the great work that's going on with Covered by Music. All right, so shout out to them. Come back today at 12 o'clock. And that's it for me. Oh, shoot. UCB, it's 10:02. Terrible. I did not do that intentionally. Look at this. Look. 10:02. Y'all get an hour and 30 minutes. Pam, buenos dias, sister. Sis, Pam, go back and watch today's show. You're going to love today. That sister from today, definitely. We do need an after dark with her, you know, around health equity and even Dr. Ronke, if you remember, that used to come from MGH, the psychiatrist. I heard from her this week, so I'll reach out to her. All right, folks, I'm really getting off of here this time. We'll see you at 12 noon today. Come in with Chaplain Sherry and also Oswald, because I hear this brother brings the absolute fire, and we need to pay attention. Numbers are down as far as violence. I get it and whatnot. Where the numbers are still high tend to be in communities that, you know, Roxbury, Dorchester, Mattapan, Jamaica Plain, lower South End, or lower Roxbury, South End. So come in and let's have that conversation, and you'll hear information about the event that is coming up with them as well. All right. I'm out of here. We'll see you guys at 12 noon today. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.